I'm Dr. Mark Hatala, and I want to welcome you to my office. I'm a cognitive scientist who studies time travel by replicating days from the past. And so everything that someone would have been exposed to on a particular date, from early morning newspapers through late night television and everything in between. Today what we're talking about is February 9th, 1964. Which is my George Harrison imitation, which is the night that the Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. And specifically today, we're going to be talking about teen culture from 1964 and the magazines from February 1964. So what the most outstanding thing about these teen magazines is that they make no mention of the Beatles whatsoever. The Beatles really exploded on the American scene with the advent of their appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. So let's talk about some of the magazines. And first we have CoEd, which is published by Scholastic for high school women, the future homemakers and career girls, as they say. Now, it has a lot of articles about things like recipes and clothing ideas and advice. And so it's basically Pinterest in 1964. But I thought there were some interesting articles in here too. So for example, one is about fact and folklore about menstruation. So, can a boy look into your eyes and tell if you're on your period? No. But it's interesting because this was the state of sexual education in 1964. So it wasn't taught in schools, and so you have to read it in magazines like CoEd. There's another interesting story, too, about teen marriages and how teens feel about teen marriage. There's not a lot of difference between the men and the women. They mostly seem to agree that if you're mature enough, that getting married at 18 is probably a good idea. But a lot of them say you should finish high school, and who can argue with that? Let's turn next to the men's magazines, and we'll talk about true men. And so, never trust any magazine with the word true in the title. For example, in Russian, during Soviet times, they used to publish a newspaper called Pravda, which means truth. And people in Russia used to say, "Eto ni pravda na pravda," which means there is no truth in Pravda. And I don't think there's a lot of truth in True Men magazine either. So for example, a couple different articles. Who murdered ex-Hitler stormtrooper Hans Schlichter? Is there a different type of stormtrooper than ex-Hitler ones? This is total fabrication. I know because I tried to look it up because I was like, this can't possibly be true. But part of the problem is one of the guys who killed him's name was Guido Monte Carlo, and so I don't think that that's a true story. There's several other different articles in here too, like about nymphomaniacs, and this is written by someone who is a distinguished student of mental disorders. And they talk about what a nymphomaniac is and talk about several different subtypes of nymphomaniacs, like there's the latent lesbian and the emotional spinster. And so you can read those. Again, this is the state of sexual education in 1964. Our last magazine is Guy. And so it's got great articles like The Art of Making Love. But actually I want to talk too about this one, The GI They Couldn't Kill, which is about Audie Murphy. So Audie Murphy won just about every award for valor that the United States handed out in World War II. And so it's something of a sensationalized portrayal of his experience. But it's somewhat interesting. There's also an article about the New York jungle, which is about juvenile delinquency in the Apple. And so it's basically, it's like torn from West Side Story. And so if you've seen that, when you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. But it talks about the exploits of a young juvenile delinquent named Batman and his friend Big and all of the adventures that they have in basically extorting money and stealing things. But it's worth checking out. Now, I'll put links to all of these below. But why not come to visit us at timetravelsimplified.com and become a time traveler? And hey, buy my book, Beatles in America, February 9th, 1964, and become a time traveler yourself. It's guaranteed. Our motto is, it's time travel or it's free. I'd ask you to like and subscribe and share this video. And if you'd like to support my research, I put a link below to my account on Patreon. And otherwise, have a great day.